do always love how Ducati celebrate any of the successes if it's unexpected for them, but nothing unexpected about Alvaro being strong here at Misano, given what he's done all the way through the weekend. Let's see if Ray's able to improve in the final sector. He's 0.6 of a second off the pace right now, pretty much matches his fastest time of the session so far on that one. He's not going to be able to improve on the next lap. That's Scott Redding jumping across the barrier. That looks like it's at the start of the lap, maybe at turn 6.
Well, bad news for Scott Redding. His session ends prematurely. But just to go back to Jonathan Rea, remaining down in P6, and there are riders around him set to improve. The likes of Dominic Egerter, Andrea Locatelli as well, currently P10. What about Remy Gardner, who had that good session earlier on this morning? So Jonathan Rea might be vulnerable here in 6th place. Ooh. That's Alvaro Bautista. Bautista has come down. A rare crash for him in 2023.
Yeah, and that looks like it's down at La Puerta, the long left-hander in the middle of the lap. We'll see if he's able to get it restarted, and that's a big issue there then for Gabriel Rue. We're not going to see any improved lap times now.
Well, bad news for Ryu, who had technical problems throughout the weekend in the Catalunya round. The team were working overnight to try and get that B-Max racing bike back out onto the circuit. It was engine problems throughout the Catalunya round, and it looks like potentially another one for him there. So bad news for Ryu.
And bad news for Toprak as well. He was up by 1/4 of a second in Sector 1. He was up by a few hundredths of a second in Sector 2, and then he's had to roll off now. So we'll see if he's going to be able to get a lap in at the end of the session. This is the first time we've come through to see this section of track since Gabriel had that problem, and obviously for Alvaro, he's just coming straight back to the pits at this stage, but we'll wait and see if anyone's able to improve at the end of this session. There are quite a well, we've got a red flag out now. It's just come up on our timing screens.
And that effectively will neutralise the session, won't it? Because 1 minute 38 to get out and do an out lap doesn't look too achievable as we watch Bautista spill there.
Yeah, and you can see for Alvaro there, that's down at turn 8. And we'll see if we do get the session restarted. There's 1:45 left on the session.
So that had to carry counting down a little bit, but it's been reset now.
At least you can leave pit lane by getting to the very end of pit lane and then try and get yourself through. It's a little bit shorter because you bypass turn 1 and turn 2 here at Misano, but we'll wait and see how well. You should be able to get another lap in. It'll be one lap at the end of the session for these riders, so it'll be a winner takes all kind of thing if you're able to get to the end of pit lane as fast as possible. Is going to be the key.
No, it has been confirmed the session will be called. The session ends under the red flag conditions.
Remy was lucky. We saw Remy in the background there, just amongst all the smoke, running himself all the way through the exit of the corner, and given how much fluid and oil and anything else that can come out when a technical issue like that, Remy could have had a big incident there. So good to see that he was able to keep himself upright and get himself back to the pits at the end of that.
So, as we were saying, it has been confirmed that that session reaches its conclusion. I would have fancied your option of a shootout from pit lane, Steve, but it doesn't look like race direction agrees. So, Alvaro Bautista takes top spot ahead of Toprak Razgat Lioglu and Michael Ruben Rinaldi. And what a relief for Rinaldi. I said there that he was looking for his first front row start since Moss 2022, and he's managed that only the 3rd time he's qualified up on the front row of a Superbike grid. So, really strong performance that from Michael Ruben Rinaldi. But a good performance from Ducati all round. Petrucci 4th, Bassani 5th. That's largely in line with where we thought that package was in advance of this weekend.
Yeah, 4 at the top 5. Toprak able to make a bit of a difference, and you'd have to say as well for Toprak, he's 3/4 of a second faster than any other Yamaha. You've got Aguilar up there in 7th spot, Gardner's up in 9th, so good effort from the 2 GRT bikes, and Locatelli down in 11th. He's a bit out of position compared to what he would have expected. Himself and Alex Lowe's 10th and 11th on the grid in front of Scott Redding after Scott had his incident at the end of that session as well.
And Bautista looks like he's being congratulated there for that pole position, but at the same time he looks pretty downcast, and that will be because of his incident out on track. So he's obviously got to collect his thoughts now after that.
Yeah, and he's just got to get himself ready for a 21-lap race. As it is, Toprak, he's probably the rider that's most disappointed because he was on course to move himself up to the top of the timesheets. He had found a few tenths of a second compared to his personal best. That's what he needed to find to be able to take the fight to Alvaro Bautista.